one Sunday morning, we'd gone to church, and after Sunday school, a couple, both of them lawyers and very impressive people, came to Bill and asked him to, they pulled him off to the side, and that they had something they needed to share with him, and they left the room. And Bill just excused himself and said, "Honey, go on to church, and I'll come in a few minutes and join you." They left, and I went on to church and sat in the balcony where we usually sit. And he didn't come. So church was over, and then I walked back out, and fortunately I tried the car, and it was unlocked, so I had a place to sit down inside the car. And I just waited. Well, I waited, and I don't remember whether I was looking at the clock. I can't remember in terms of the time, but it was getting warm in the car, and I was getting a little hotter myself in terms of what is this that I have been left here. Finally, Bill came, and church was out, I'm sure at 12 o'clock, and it must have been getting toward the 2 o'clock mark when he came, and he was so apologetic. "I'm just so sorry." And so about that time, I was in tears because I felt so abused and put upon. And but we went home and sat down and had dinner. I'd gained my composure enough, and he'd asked for forgiveness, and by this time we were friends. But sitting at the table that day, I'm sure Bill had been thinking about this for a while, but he hadn't mentioned it. But he said, "You know, we need to sign a contract with God." And I've signed many contracts in business, and I think it would be wonderful if we would just draw up a contract and sign the contract with God, just to name before Him what we would like out of life and what we'd be willing to give, and that you go in one room and I'll go in the other, and let's just tell God what we want. And so I took it that we were to be specific about what we wanted and what we thought our life would look like. And so we spent, I don't know, an hour and a half, might have been 2 hours, I can't remember, but quite a little while, that I went into our spare bedroom, and he went into our bedroom, and we were both on our knees, and of course we were both praying, and I began to write down exactly what I thought that would be reasonable to ask God for. And so I said that I would like 2 cars. Mine could be a Ford, because that was the least expensive car at that time. And that I would like 2 to 4 children. I may have started with the children first, 2 to 4 children. And then the 2 cars. Mine could be a Ford. And then a house that would be modest enough to entertain a person from Skid Row, because we were working a lot with people on Skid Row at that time, and I wanted them to feel comfortable if they should come to our home, or would be lovely enough to entertain the President of the United States. Little was I even thinking about what that would actually mean, but it was that was my desire. And after all, I had married a successful businessman, and I had expected that probably we would be able to have a home of such a manner. And then I began to tell the Lord about, I wanted everything that we did to bring honor and glory to Him, that I would like to know that God's hand would be upon us as a couple, and there were some things about, some spiritual things that got in there. It probably would have filled, it was listed long, so maybe 3/4 of the page. Well, we came back together, and I think he maybe asked me to share my list first. So I went through my list with him, and he didn't laugh, he didn't say anything. That's a sweetheart. But anyway, he started with his list, that he desired to be a slave of Jesus, and that everything that we had would belong to God, that we would depend upon Him for everything, that we would never seek fame or fortune, that we would live on whatever He provided, and we'd never seek wealth or recognition, and that He wanted to be filled with the Spirit, constantly available for whatever God wanted, and that He just possessed our whole life, body, mind, and spirit. Well, I felt like about this high that, He was so spiritual and I was so material, and I was kind of disappointed that I would be so materialistic. But that's kind of the way our lives were lived. I've told Bill many times, you are enjoying the luxury of what we enjoy because I've asked God for it. And God provided it.